Hello everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo, reminding you that once you learn to read, you will be forever free. And I thought I would do another reasonably short video, get this posted and scheduled to go live. In the future, by the time this does go live, I believe I'll have completed my move to my new home. As you can see, not only are there no records in the shelves behind me, there are no shelves behind me. There's this echoey as the apartment becomes emptier and emptier. And I've been getting some decent views, not a whole lot of views, but decent views on my book videos. I'm sure some of the viewers are those who know me for my record channel, the records that I talk about. And in fact, coming up soon, there's going to be, after I move, a video about some couple new records that I'm getting through the mail. One of them has already arrived, and it's one that I learned about from a live interview that Stunty was doing on his channel. And then the other one is by a Singapore band that had a new release, a band that I like, and I'm hoping that will come, because it's being delivered to this address, and I'm hoping that it will arrive before I move, because I'm kind of worried about a record, coming in the mail being forwarded, how that might go. So fingers crossed on that one. And then I saw this thread about, it's mostly focused on, do you listen to music while you read? If so, what kind of music do you listen to? And I thought that would be, a good blending of topics, considering what I generally talk about on my channel. And this is a hybrid. I don't have the list of questions that go with this tag in the BookTube community, but I'm nonetheless kind of using it as a prompt. And the primary question with this particular tag, is generally, do you listen to music while you read? And if so, what kind of music? And it's kind of interesting because my reading habits over time have changed significantly. For example, I could read at night while I was in bed when I was younger, but now when I try and do that, I fall asleep. I read a couple paragraphs and I'm, falling asleep. So I don't read at night anymore. In general, even sitting up and in reading in a chair in the evening, I don't do that anymore. I used to do that quite a bit. So in fact, my reading habit is primarily in the morning. When I wake up and I'm having my coffee, I read. And I often get quite a bit of reading done. Although for a while, I started doing the Goodreads book challenge each year to kind of keep me focused on reading and knowing kind of, okay, what am I going to read next? Because there was a time when I wasn't doing a whole lot of reading in my line of work, which is, it's media, journalism, news based. So I'm doing a lot of reading, but as an editor. So reading for just enjoyment of reading had dropped off quite a bit since I was much younger. Used to read, quite a bit. So the Goodreads challenge each year keeps me focused. And I generally, somewhere between 12 to 15 books a year, that's plenty for me to read. I am amazed by the people. I have a niece who reads like 30 books a year. And I'm like, girl, how do you find time to do that and still have a job and still have a life? Yeah, that's a lot of reading. But some people are faster readers than I am, and their comprehension and retention is probably considerably better than mine. I've always been a good reader, but there are a lot of books that I've read, and if you picked one of them up and I go, oh yeah, I read that, probably read it 10 or so years ago, and if you asked me, okay, tell me about the book, I'd be like, I liked it. That's it. I can't, I won't be able to talk much about it at all. So yeah. I also kind of, going back to, do I listen to music? Here's kind of the interesting thing. Not anymore. I used to on occasion, but most of the time, if I'm in my own home and I have music playing, my attention span tends to drift to the music and away from what I am reading. There's a thing called figure ground distortion, and that is primarily a visual situation, where sometimes a person is unable to pick out individual objects, focus on individual objects, given a certain kind of background to them, okay? And I don't necessarily have that. I mean, I could be driving along the road and then in the trees by the side of the road, I'll see an animal and I'll go, oh yeah, there's a deer or something. And other people are like, what? I didn't see it. But when it comes auditorily, then yeah, there are times when that will become a distraction to my reading. However, background noise is good for most of my reading. When I was in college, I learned quickly that libraries were not for me. There's something soporific about a library. Every time I would try and read and study in a library, the quiet was so overwhelming that I would fall asleep. I had to have some other kind of background noise that wouldn't distract me so that I became focused on the sound, and then I could still, focus on what I was reading or what I was writing about and thinking about those things. So before I left university, I had adopted the habit of going to a restaurant. Mostly it was a restaurant that it was called, I can't remember what it was called, but it was kind of like a Denny's, and I would go there to read and study my textbooks, because the background noise created this blend of sound that allowed me to read very specific material, and I'd be able to read and comprehend and retain it. Nowadays, as I said earlier, I read in the morning when I'm having my coffee, and typically by especially on days when I'm not working, afternoon reading. Sometimes when I'm on vacation and I want to read for a little while, I'll read later in the day, but too late in the day, no, I can't. For me, it's strictly a morning activity now. And with music for a while, it would have to have been music without any singing, without any lyrics. That was a definite issue from the start with me. However, I would listen to some classical music, sometimes some jazz. I would have that on in the background. But music is like reading to me. It's something I need to pay attention to. So I generally don't play any music. The difference or the exception to that situation is I might go to a pub and take a book with me. And so there's that background white noise from the people talking, and they might have music playing, but it's usually not so loud that it overwhelms the talking. Otherwise, you've been to places where the music is loud, and so you have to shout to talk to people. Yeah, there are times I can read while I'm in the pub, and the background noise of conversation and the background noise of music that they might be playing just blends together and creates the white noise or brown noise or whatever kind of noise you want to call it, and then I am able to read. The quiet time, if I'm reading in my apartment, it's amazing. One of the reasons besides the escalating rent, living in a high rise, if it's not soundproofed very well, you can hear what other people are doing and saying in the apartment adjacent to yours. And unless it was really quiet, if somebody else started playing music, even if that music was indistinct and I could not discern what the singer might be saying or something like that, it was like, no, I can't read, because of that sound intruding into my reading. So I guess that's why I generally picked up the habit to read in the morning. But yeah, I've packed all my books, and I've moved all of my books already to my new apartment. I only have one book in my apartment right now, and that's the one I am currently reading, which I'll talk about when I'm done. I'm getting close to being done, and that's this book here, Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stewart. It's set in Glasgow, working class people. I will say that this is a good read. I really enjoy this book, but the characters are in such sad situations, difficult situations, but the author writes with such tenderness and empathy and compassion that I can tell that Douglas Stewart knows that environment intimately, that he can write about it. So yeah, that's kind of my hybrid response to this tag that's been going on. In general, I'm a morning reader now, and I generally read without as much, I don't read with music. Traffic noise and things like that are fine coming in. Background noise that turns into like a white or brown noise is fine. I don't mind taking a folding chair and walking down to the lakefront here in Chicago and sitting there and reading. Well, if somebody's having a conversation and they're too close to me, then that becomes a distraction. But if it's generally indistinct, I can sit there and read. I like reading outdoors because I can read for a while and then I just put the book down and kind of like digest what I have read while looking at things around me. I like that kind of environment. I guess that's another reason why I don't like libraries, because the only thing you can look at while you're in the library are books, just the shelves. But reading outdoors in a park, it provides an environment where I can read and be immersed in what I am reading, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. And then I can pause and contemplate what I've read while taking in the scene around me, the natural scene around me. So there you go. A little bit of an introduction to me and my reading habits. semi-prompted by this thread about whether you listen to music while you read. And I hope to continue doing videos on occasion about reading and books, and I hope that I continue to keep an audience who is interested in either my record collecting or my reading, who can accept the fact that I do both, and maybe some of you will enjoy both topics, and so will be, you'll watch my video regardless of whether it's about reading and books or if it's about record collecting and music. And yeah, I've picked up a few new subscribers, despite the fact that the majority of my videos that I've been posting lately have been about books, and mostly just showing books that I have as I'm packing them. Anyway, leave a comment in the down under. Okay, I really enjoy getting comments. Hit the thumbs up button if you want to. It really does help with distribution of video content on YouTube, even more so than subscribing. I mean, subscribing is great because then you can get notifications. However, even if you're subscribed, hitting that like button really helps out any video content creator. I also have a Instagram account where I go by the handle of NewsDude76. That's NEWZDUDE76, where I post a variety of images, photos. And then I have a Facebook page called Calvin Wazoo, which is strictly focused on music-related content, whether it's the videos I create here or other videos that I find about bands, musicians, music, and other articles that I find about bands, musicians, and music. So thank you for your time. I hope to see you again. And remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.